Okay, so this is the session that we lost audio for a while back, which is about 6 months ago now, which is crazy that this has been going on that long. So I didn't check stream before we had started to make sure that the audio for the guys, as well as the music and the ambience, was capturing. My setup is very simple. I have desktop audio and I have my microphone. I don't really have a whole lot other than that. But I'm going to read this out essentially in a short form. I'm going to give you the major details of what happened. There was really only one major event that took place aside from the end of the fight during this. Fortunately, no big, moments really were had beyond just ending the fight and something that happened afterwards, as well as one reveal. There was kind of one reveal, but we'll get to that. It's talked about more in the next session as well as the notes are read. So, let's jump in. I won't waste too much of your time so you can get into the next video. So the fight continues. The fighters and skeletons are dealt with one by one. They pick them off and they deal with them very handily. Jug grabs Crawley by the ice stalks and swings him around and slams him into the floor like a giant beholder basketball. The party struggles with the anti-magic cone again, going in and out of it. Crawley begins to move around the room a bit, and they are struggling with whenever one of them moves him with some kind of ability, one of the others on the other side of the room, depending on where Crawley lands, ends up with their magic turned off by the anti-magic cone. So the party fights with that back and forth. Then eventually Boar goes down, and he gets very severely hurt. He comes within, not one die roll, but on the die roll, if I rolled too high, he would have died. It was within the die roll that he could have possibly died. Fortunately, I rolled low, and he survived. But went down. The party gave him some healing, resuscitated him, and he was up. He was pulled back from combat, healed a little bit, and then he went back in. So Boar steps forward towards Crawley and casts his Exterminatus ability for the paladin. Of which he swings and then misses, and it was quite funny. He missed Crawley at nearly pretty much point blank range after making a sort of epic speech. It was very tragic. But he does it nonetheless. Crawley is now, at this point, surrounded. They have him on all sides nearly. If they're not directly adjacent to him, the angle that they weren't at point blank range with him was still also covered. So no matter where he was, he had a pillar to his right. No matter where he was or what he did or which way he faced, he was surrounded and was going to get beat down pretty handily. Good thing they brought along a lot of extra, NPCs to fight him, because this is a boss fight, but this isn't the boss fight. Keep in mind. So it becomes very clear to them that this is just, obviously in the last session as well as this one, that this was just kind of a stall fight. Crawley was left here probably to die, to be honest. They probably did not expect him to win, but he is surrounded and beaten down. Terragus gets in behind him and uses his backstab ability, of which the group was very happy that I rolled the killing blow mechanically on my own boss. So here we are, but I made them participate in the boss kill. So I had them all give me a sort of cinematic thing that they did. I believe Lex used his ice pistols as usual. I don't remember exactly. Some of it's lost on memory and some of it's lost in the audio. Revion uses his usual wind magic or his new sword. I don't remember which one. The paladins and Terragus, they spear Crawley with their weapons and hold him in place. Jack goes up and punches him with a mixture of a physical punch and his telekinesis to strike him. Jug also runs up and punches him, I believe. Manus launches his magnetic fist, and it punches a hole through the beholder, through Crawley, and then comes back out the other side. And we ended with that shot of the hole being punched through, and you just see Manus on the other side as the enemy falls. And the fist returns to his arm. Phoebe is healed and revived and reveals, as she awakens, that the crystal, the Witch King's crystal, did not contain only his soul, but his entire physical being within the crystal, and that they need to get it back now. She reveals essentially that was a ruse to keep pirates off of their tail as they sailed across the sea. The rumor was going to spread for sure that the Witch King's crystal, the crystal containing his soul, is being sailed across the seas. Go and find it, attack the ship or whatever. Of course, they're on a very heavily armored ship. Not too much of a worry, but it was to keep from higher forces being called against them. Only certain interested parties would have come after them. But that proved faulty and not to work as well as they were hoping it to, as this force attacking them was not what they expected. Manus, in the process of this going on, after healing Phoebe a bit, he finds some mysterious metal on the floor with thick layers of dust over it, and begins to pack some of it in his bag. And then a spirit apparates. His legs and his arms and his head are wispy, not fully complete. And then he wanders over the forge, and his arms become more complete as he begins to hammer out some metal. And he asks the party to choose one of them and to receive a gift in the form of a newly forged weapon by his hands. He asks them to choose one of their group, and to choose a weapon, Revion chooses a quarterstaff. So he takes an old-looking sword from this rack that was near them, covered in dust. He hammers it twice, and then he slings it across the room with the tongs still attached. So probably by arcane means, it slides into the forge, and then the forge begins to heat, and the room fills with a stifling heat. It is hard to bear how hot it got in the room. The stones of the forge begin to change colors, and after that he takes 5 more strokes, and he masterfully crafts a quarterstaff in just 7 strokes. And then he fades to nothing after commending them and giving them their prize, and tells them to close the forge or to destroy it. The party finds some notes on a table and pull a lever that opens up where the Weeping Man and Megalo, the bot, slid away to get away from the party at the beginning of the fight. And before jumping out, they decide what they're going to do to the forge. If they're going to destroy it, if they're going to close it, whatever their plan is. They ultimately decide to just close it up and to leave it there and not destroy it. So they take their leave. They jump down this angled chute that takes them down sliding, angles and in the dark, and they come out in a small cove in a little very pretty shallow water cove on the east side of the island. And standing and gathering themselves and getting their bearings as to where they're at on the island, Terragus spots the sparrow at a distance through the opening in the cove. And very hastily and quickly, they jump aboard the ship and begin to make preparations to get underway. So, there is session 13. Sorry that I had to do it like this again. I'm getting better habits about checking the audio before we do these. But yeah, these Chaos Gremlins made me kill my own boss, so I made them participate in me killing my boss. But it was quite funny. I did enjoy that. That's how that ended up happening. Fortunately, it wasn't the final boss, so I guess I have that going for me. But yeah, so that's the end of session 13. Thank you for stopping in. I will post the next session when I can. If you're watching this when this happens, it'll hopefully be next weekend when it goes up. If you're watching this in the future, it should already be there. So go enjoy session 14 after this one, of which does have audio. If you're still here, as of right now, where I'm recording this for the session and recapping it, we're on like session 30 something. I haven't been uploading or editing these at all. I haven't really had time or made time. I really pulled a lot of my time out to work on a lot of the world building for this and writing. I have barely been streaming on Twitch, and on my personal stuff, I haven't really been doing a whole lot until recently. But I picked it back up now. I'm a little more active again. I've made specific time for all of this stuff, and I'm going to begin working, some upload times. So you should see more of me. Hopefully not as much of these to go around. Hopefully these are few and far between. But we're nearing the very, very end of this campaign is where we're at right now. We are within 2 sessions of the end. We have, I believe, session 34, and I suspect there will be a session 35, and then a wrap-up, essentially, that will be kind of skimming some stuff, getting some questions from them if they have questions about very specific or particular things that happened along the way that they didn't understand or they want to try and ask questions about. I've already told them there's some stuff I might not answer, because there's some stuff I'll give you because it's lore and it's interesting, but there's some stuff that's lore and that's interesting that I can't tell them yet. They will have to discover along the road and on the path, or in-world, and find a reason to learn about it. But the next campaign will be a little 4-part with these particular characters switching into Dungeons & Dragons. So that's what you have to look forward to. I will stop my long-windedness and get out of here and leave you alone. I will see you next time. Goodbye.